Good morning, noon and night, everybody. Welcome to another video on the Maybe Bray YouTube channel. This one, of course, is a preview for Forest v Wolves this Saturday. I'm joined by George from Always Wolves. How are you doing today, George?
Yep, well, thank you, Bray. Looking forward to the game, and hopefully we can get our season started, to be honest.
Well, you say get your season started. How come it's not started already? Tell me about your first couple of games.
Well, first couple of games, in fairness, we have had a difficult start. I mean, starting away at the Emirates, it doesn't get much tougher than that, to be honest. And then we had Chelsea at home last week. Good first half, but then wheels sort of came off second half. So this is our first game where you'd say teams that are likely to finish in and around us for the season. And after this, we've got really difficult games against top teams again. So we need to be looking at this game to hopefully pick up some points, to be honest, because we have got a tricky run of fixtures. But obviously, City Ground's never an easy place to go anyway. So there's a lot of pressure on it for us coming off the back of the 6-2 loss as well. So we'll see.
Sounds like a really, really big game. Who are those fixtures that you've got coming up next?
We have got Villa in there, Liverpool in there. I think we've got Newcastle in there. I think we've got Brighton in there. I think it was they talked about our match of the day, the Sunday match of the day too, saying that they've looked at it and Wolves have got on paper the most difficult opening to the season. And if you think about that, it's okay getting those tough games out of the way, but if you go 10 games in, you've got 3 or 4 points, and then you've got a nice run of fixtures, it adds a lot of pressure to those easier fixtures on paper, doesn't it? If you haven't already got a little bit to build on. So we need to be targeting like games like Forest, difficult games, but with our run of fixtures, we've got to be targeting those to pick up something. And in the past couple of seasons, we have managed to come to your place. I think it's been 2 draws, hasn't it? I personally would take a point at the weekend, to be honest.
You mentioned those first couple of games. How have Wolves been? How have Wolves played for them?
In moments, we've played well. We look better going forward, to be honest, this season. But that's come at a cost, I think, defensively. We've obviously transitioned from a 5 at the back, sort of hybrid system, to a straight back 4. We've obviously lost Max Kilman, so we look at a little bit weaker in defence. Plus, we've lost an extra body in there as well. So we look fragile at the back, and there's been a lot of fans this week calling for a return to a 5 at the back against you lot at the weekend. And I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think that Gary O'Neill's going to do that. So I think we will still be 4 at the back, which could be a risk, because I look at the Forest team, and if anything, you've got a serious threat going forward, to be honest. I mean, Southampton last week, I thought you absolutely battered him, to be honest. You're all over him. So you are a dangerous team, and away from home, it's already looking a bit dicey for us 4 at the back. But I think there will be some changes. I think Craig Dawson might come in, and I think we might go for a solid 3 in midfield and just try and play a little bit more defensively, because we have tried to transition to a bit more of an attacking team. But Gary O'Neill has come out this week and said he maybe got it wrong. He's maybe been setting the team up in a way that doesn't quite suit. So on the back of that 6-2 defeat, we obviously won in midweek against Burnley the other night. So we are coming off the back of a better result. And I think if I was speaking to you now, without that Burnley game, I'd be feeling like a serious lack of confidence. But we played well against Burnley last night, and we got a good result, and we looked better. Some of the players who played last night might have forced their way into the team a little bit. So I think we'll see some change, and I think I'm feeling more confident than what I would have been on the back of our 2 Premier League games, definitely. But I still think it's going to be a tough game, and as I said, I would take points.
Well, it's really been the same for us when you say about players who impressed during midweek. We had 4 debutants last night, and I think every one of them had a really, really, really good game. Well, we all saw the lineup yesterday, And we thought, well, there's not much chance in it for us because we've got an academy kid in there. We've got 4 debutants. But honestly, they shocked us. They were fantastic. They left everything absolutely out there on the pitch and took a very near full strength side Newcastle to penalties. And they've showed us so much promise. And I'd be really, really interested to see who starts and who doesn't, because Miguel put in a massive claim for his first team spot, saving a penalty and making 3 or 4 really good saves in regular time. So I could potentially see him starting. He is massive, so there won't be much left of goal for you to aim at if he does start. Just will be really, really interesting to see who starts, because Nuno Espirito Santo has now got a massive headache because he won't know who to start. I won't know who to start. Nobody will know who is the right choice to start right now because of what good performances they put in.
Yeah, from Nuno's time at Wolves, what I think we always found with Nuno is that he does have his favourites, and he doesn't usually seem like the type of manager to change things up a lot. He's got his tried and tested. Is that not the case at Forest? Is he changed?
He does have favourite players, but he's been very, very happy to change when it's been needed. I mean, yesterday was 9 changes, I think. I mean, he's been between a Wanye and Wood lately. He's gotten the best out of Chris Wood.
Yeah.
Who else?
I was just going to bring up Chris Wood. Yeah, that's one that I'd seen that started your first 2 games. And yeah, I just thought, do you rate him? Because we have really struggled against Chris Wood in his time at Burnley.
Oh yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yep.
I remember in lockdown when you made him look like R9.
But he just doesn't seem to be pulling up any trees or be anything exceptional apart from when he turns up against Wolves. But what do you see on a week-to-week basis from him, and do you think he's the way forward? Because I think he's getting on now as well, isn't he? So I was actually quite surprised to see him still. I mean, how many did he score last season as well? What's going on with Chris Wood?
Well, he scored plenty last season. He got 14 league goals, I think. And I think that's equaling his best ever Prem return for goals in a season. Yeah. He's looked a different player under Nuno.
System seems to suit him then.
Yeah, I suppose so. Just Nuno just knows how to get the best out of him by the looks of it. Actually, since Nuno came in, he just settled in, and he's been class ever since. He scored against Bournemouth. He caused problems against Southampton, and yeah, we gave him a little rest.
As an outsider looking in, you look at the team sheet, you see Chris Wood, and you do tend to think, okay, he's not going to offer anything running behind. That's how it looks from the outside. But does the way your team's set up, does he really need that? I mean, he's got pace around him, hasn't he? He's got Alanga, Gibbs White. So does he need that anyway? Is that sort of the way you tend to play? Is it balls into the box ASAP or what?
Well, there's a lot of variation in what we do. Wood has looked fitter than I've ever seen him. It was really quite noticeable, especially in pre-season. He came, I don't know if he was running training or what. He just looked so much faster. I was like, is that actually Chris Wood?
What's the general Forest fan consensus on Nuno? Are you well behind him? Is there any doubters? Because
I think that there were doubters. Yeah, there were doubters at first, but I've always backed him, and I think that the fans are coming to back him now. We're all really, really impressed with the performance yesterday, because he's taken a side with debutants who don't know each other, and we've taken a team who could potentially be finishing top 4 or top 6. Depends. The players who we thought would be just stuck to our bench or reserves potentially, and they've done that. They've played fantastic as well. Well, whenever we do play Wolves, there's always one player who's going to be under the spotlight, and I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about already. What are your thoughts on him as a player, and well, obviously as a person, given the history with Wolves in the last couple of seasons?
one thing that really surprised me is how much under Nuno he's continued in the same vein that he was in before. So because in his time at Wolves, Gibbs White was in and out of the team. I know he was younger, but he was in and out of the team, and I think he always felt that Nuno never quite gave him enough of a chance. And from the outside, he does seem like a player who might, hold a grudge, be a little bit petulant about it. But I think maybe it's testament to how much he's matured as a player, because he seems to have got better under Nuno, to be honest. And I think he obviously scored the winner against Southampton as well, didn't he? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of potential there. We were obviously happy with the fee we got when we sold him, and I think ultimately he came through the Wolves academy, but he no longer wanted to be at the club, and I think that's what hurt Wolves fans more than anything. And why there is a sort of as you touched on, there's a sort of animosity between him and Wolves now, but I think a part of it is both parties have been hurt. I think he always felt like he wasn't given the opportunities at Wolves, and then Wolves fans feel like he turned his back on the club. But in hindsight, I think it was a move that was needed, and I think he's done things at Forest that I just don't think it was the right fit for him at Wolves. There'd been too much water under the bridge. I think he's become a better player by moving on, to be honest.
Well, I think he's come on in absolute leaps and bounds just the entire time he's been here, to be honest. I mean, there are calls for him. I don't think he will, but I mean, there've been calls and speculation about him potentially getting into the England squad later today. That's more on Lee Carsley being bigger than him particularly excelling, but he's always brilliant. He's always fantastic, and you can always count on him to do a little bit of extra.
Yeah, he really is your talisman now, isn't he? To be honest,
yeah. Well, I mean,
central to everything you do.
Well, that's why it was so surprising yesterday how much we managed to attack and we didn't have it. He wasn't even in the squad.
True.
So he didn't play a minute. He wasn't even on the bench or anything. So that means you will have a absolutely fully fit week of rest ready to go. Morgan Gibbs White coming to you on Saturday, which is
it feels like he always gives you extra 10-20% as well against Wolves. So. And plus Chris Wood to deal with as well. Old foes.
No, I hadn't even thought of the Chris Wood little connection there. But I think that'll be interesting. Given all this talk about teams, what would be your 11 for the game?
So my Wolves 11 would be, obviously we've signed Sam Johnson now, but he's not going to be done in time, obviously, for the game. So it would be Star and goal. I actually think there's a very strong chance after his performance against Chelsea that Brian Aitnouri's dropped, to be honest. I think he was at fault and Gary O'Neill's come out and said he was at fault for at least 2 of the goals directly. And he played in midweek when we'd made like 10 changes. He was the only one left in midweek, which makes me think, is that because he's not intending to play at the weekend? He did have a really good game there, but I still think we'll go Totti Gomez will move across the left back, and I think Craig Dawson and Yersa Mosquera will play in the middle, and then Semedo's back from suspension, which I think isn't good for you. It's good for us because he's a great defender, great fullback, great wing back. So Semedo coming back will definitely strengthen us, and we'll need that against you because, as you say, you're good down the sides. You've got pace in attack. Semedo tends to be able to deal with that. So that'll be our back. That would be my back line. And I think we'll have Joe Gomez and Lamina in there. And I'm hoping he shores it up a little bit and brings in another centre mid. Boubacar Traore got injured yesterday, so maybe Tommy Doyle and go 4-3-3, and then Cunha, Larson, and maybe Guedes after scoring 2 against Burnley in the week, maybe forced himself into the side. So that would be my lineup. I think it will be 4-3-3. There might be a few different changes in personnel there, but one thing's for certain, I think we're going to be trying to play a much tighter, less open game than what we did against Chelsea. And I think you played quite open against Newcastle, didn't you? Open attacking football. Yeah, I think we're going to try and shut that down because we were punished massively against Chelsea. So that's my thinking. Whether Gary O'Neill thinks the same, we'll see. But I expect we're going to try and play a little less open.
Trying to think of what my Forest 11 would be. It's really, really hard to decide. As I said, Nuno's got a massive headache now, given how good all of our performers were in midweek. Well, yesterday, everyone I couldn't tell you a single player other than maybe Awoniyi didn't play that well, but I think other than potentially him, I couldn't tell you a single player who didn't play really well and give everything. I think in goal it will be Carlos Miguel. Then I think that Williams will probably return. Then in the middle, all of this is so hard because everyone played so well.
Willy Bolly fit. It's got to be Willy Bolly if he's fit. Sure.
Willy Bolly is fit, and so is Milenkovic. I think it will be Murillo in there next to either Bolly or Milenkovic. Left back will be really interesting. I don't think that Aina particularly impressed me against Southampton. I really, really rate him though. I rate him very, very highly, and if you've heard me talk about him, then you'll know that I rate him. But I think that Moreno yesterday was brilliant. I think it would be one of Moreira or Moreno and then Williams on the other side. Wherever that is, I think that in midfield, we'll start with Sangare, still a brilliant player. Obviously missed his penalty, but he's been fantastic since the start of pre-season. He just looks a different player. Then it's another toss-up. There are so many toss-ups all over the pitch. It'll be either Elliot Anderson or Ryan Yates, and I think it will be Elliot Anderson because Elliot Anderson for the last couple of games has been absolutely gravy. He's been fantastic. He always wants the ball. I mean, you can see him whenever anyone's got the ball anywhere near him. His hands up. He's ready for it. He's really, really enjoyable to watch in that sense. Then probably Morgan Gibbs-White ahead of the pair of those. Then Jota, potentially. I don't know if Jota is going to play. That'll be an interesting one.
I thought you'd go Elanga and Hudson-Odoi all day, to be honest.
See, that's what I think, but Jota and Sosa both put in massive performances. What I think most likely is we'll start with Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, but then a bit earlier than you'd usually expect substitutions, maybe like 55th, 60th minute rather than like 70th. Then we'll see the introductions of Sosa and Jota, and then it'll be Chris Wood up top. I think without a doubt, potentially seeing Awoniyi off the bench. I think he needs to build confidence. Absolutely breaks my heart that penalty last night, because if there's anyone who doesn't deserve to miss a penalty, it's Taiwo Awoniyi, because he's just a lovely fella. Finally, gone all this way into the preview, and I've not asked you your score prediction yet.
I think we'll tighten and play less open than we have done first two games. I don't think we'll all of a sudden click and be perfect defensively and completely shut you down. I think I'm going to go 2-2 again, same as last season. I'm going to go 2-2.
I think it's going to be really, really tight, but I'm saying 2-1 Forest, just on the basis that we've been playing really, really well. I think that Morgan Gibbs-White, Chris Wood are both going to, well, not necessarily Chris Wood, but Morgan Gibbs-White is going to feel like he has furthermore something to prove. If he does get selected today, I know that's a bit of a reach, but if he does get selected today for England, then that will be even more fire in his belly to say, hey, look at me. I just think we look really strong at the moment, and our big team's performance yesterday is filled me with confidence. I think that should be all.
Yeah, I'll just give it one last plug for Always Wolves. So alwayswolves.co.uk, where we've got articles, all podcasts, all in one place, and then the Always Wolves social media, just Always Wolves wherever you go, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. So yeah, just a plug from me, but thanks for having me on.
Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out my vlog of the Newcastle game. And whether you're a Forest or a Wolves fan, then make sure to subscribe as well, so then you don't miss the vlog of Forest Wolves coming this Saturday. Well, yeah. Thank you for coming on.
No
Remember
problem.
to ingest cheese, and good night.